Welcome back into Inside the AHSAA. You know, one of the fun things about being associated with the AHSAA is I get to know a lot of the players that I know will be future stars. I also get to talk sometimes to guys who were stars in the AHSAA in the past. And the next guy we're going to talk to just happens to be one of those. And he also happens to be kind of sort of a family member of mine, at least I call him that, Mr. Leroy Jordan. Leroy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I hope you don't mind that I do tell people sometimes you're kind of sort of my uncle, and I'm going to roll with that if that's okay.
Yeah, I love being uncle to you.
Well, Leroy Jordan, of course, one of the more famous players at the University of Alabama in their storied history, and of course, also one of the more famous players in Dallas Cowboy history. He has written a book entitled My Story of Faith, Family, and Football. And Leroy, I've read some of the excerpts from it and some of the highlights. You have led an incredible life. One thing I didn't know while you were playing at Excel High School in Alabama, you didn't start playing, was it until your junior year and you went out on the practice field just to be a stand-in?
Well, that was a little misstatement. I really was about a seventh grader at that time, and my brothers were playing football, and I should have caught that before we printed it, but I didn't. No, I'd started playing early because my older brothers were playing football, and so that's kind of the way that story came up. We didn't have enough players to have a defensive lineup out there, and the coach said, "Leroy, would you stand back there at safety man so we can have 11 defensive guys out there?" And "Sure, coach." And then a few minutes later, a running back came by and I tackled him, and that was the beginning of me putting on pads, and I had them on ever since, I guess.
Did you ever call that coach and just say, "Thank you so much for helping me find my way," because obviously this was a path you were destined for?
Well, yeah, I did, and I thanked him many times. He was a principal there later in life. Mr. Al Brandon was later the principal at Excel High School, and was a coach when I was there part-time, and got me started. And W.C. Majors was my coach in high school my years after I matured a little bit.
Leroy, how important was your time at Excel High School? Obviously, you have a lot of fond memories from the University of Alabama and from your NFL days, and really those stories alone from either of those moments when you were in college or pro could fill up several books. But I want to hear more about your days at Excel High School. What are some of your favorite memories?
Well, it was a very small school. It had 12 grades. You went in on one end in the first grade, and you graduated from the 12th grade on the other end. And so that's the way it was back then in my hometown of Excel, Alabama. We had great people, great community. Most of the people were in the farming business back there, and I think half of them were my cousins and in-laws and so forth. So we really had a great time growing up together back there in the country and learning how to work. Had a worker ethic really early. I mean, it was developed really early on with my family.
Obviously, your beliefs, your Christianity is a big part of your life, and you're a fantastic businessman as well, and you've done well in that arena. But how big of a part was football in shaping who you are today?
Well, it was really big, getting the exposure and the publicity with the University of Alabama, and that helped me the next stepping stone to getting on with the Dallas Cowboys. And so all levels have been really important in my development of life, and all my coaches, Coach W.C. Majors and Coach Bryant and Coach Landry, I've had some really great mentors in my life.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the book. Where can people get it? Can they get it online, and what stores specifically?
Yes, online, and I think Books A Million and Nobles and Barnes and Nobles, I think, will have it in stock within a week. So I think all of those avenues are open to people to call in and order it. So that's my best dot, and I'm gonna be going all over the state in the next few weeks, doing some signing and and meeting the public again.
Well, Leroy, I mean, again, some of these excerpts are incredible. I mean, you played in national championship games and Super Bowls. You played in the Ice Bowl, which is arguably the most famous game in NFL history. You got to meet your idol when you were a young boy, Elvis. At one time, you actually got a gift from John Wayne because you and he became such good friends. Just crazy, incredibly interesting stuff. And we certainly do thank you so much for being on Inside the AHSA today, and we hope to have you on again sometime, okay?
Look, I'm available, man. I appreciate you so much and having me on and visiting with me, and it's good to talk to you again.
Good to talk to you, Leroy, and you have a great day, buddy.
Okay, man. Bye.
That was Leroy Jordan, really one of the more famous players to ever come out of the state of Alabama, if you ask me. And right there in Excel, Alabama, I can't help but say, every time I'm on the scoreboard show, we read the Excel score, I can't help but say the hometown of Leroy Jordan, because really he's one of the more famous people ever from this state, if you ask me, and just a fine representative of all things Alabama. He's out in Texas now, obviously, and he's got a fantastic family, just a good man. We'll be back in just a minute with more of Inside the AHSA.